Good evening, I'm Andrew Nichols, and this is The National. She traveled 20 million kilometers through space. Now Julie Payette goes to Rideau Hall.
A second chance to serve Canada again.
What Canada's next Governor General brings to the job. The burnt bones of homes left behind by fire.
They lost everything, just lost everything.
Picking through the ashes of Ashcroft Reserve, where history is buried and democracy denied. He fought for change. The life and tragic end of Lee Seo-Bois. And chased by the dark cloud of scandal, Trump goes to the City of Light.
You better do a good job, please. Otherwise, you're going to make me look very bad.
25 years ago, a talented engineer and pilot named Julie Payette joined an elite group of 4, selected as a Canadian astronaut over thousands of other candidates. Today, she joined an even more elite quartet, the 4th woman to be appointed Governor General of Canada, officially taking over duties from David Johnston this fall. Katie Simpson was in Ottawa for the official announcement today.
It's easy to see the Prime Minister is over the moon about his pick for the next Governor General, Julie Payette.
I am here to serve all Canadians of all backgrounds.
Ms. Payette's life has been one dedicated to discovery, to dreaming big, and to always staying focused on the things that matter most.
What matters most to the former astronaut is science and technology, which she plans to promote when she takes on her new role. She describes the position as a second chance to serve her country, but this time from Earth.
A grand and luscious land, glorious and free. It will be a pleasure to travel, to meet and interact with Canadians of all backgrounds.
A Liberal source tells CBC News Justin Trudeau sat down with Payette for an hour about a month ago to discuss the job. While a dozen people were considered, including Indigenous candidates, she is the only person Trudeau met with. He was clearly impressed, and she was offered the job in that meeting.
Well, on one hand, I'm very excited. Julie Payette's an amazing individual. On another level, I'm kind of disappointed. I would have loved to have seen an Indigenous Canadian.
Trudeau had previously mused in public about the role inclusivity would play in his decision.
To see institutions and appointments across the government that reflect the diversity of Canada.
Those words triggered speculation among MPs Trudeau may select an Indigenous candidate as a gesture toward reconciliation. And even though she is getting broad support, that move would have been welcome by some.
If this was an opportunity for the Prime Minister to demonstrate sincerely that this relationship with Indigenous peoples is the most important one, well, he missed one.
Julie Payette is an amazing candidate. I think she has had an incredible career. I think she is an incredibly diverse person.
Her peers are just as excited that Payette has landed a job that will keep her grounded.
She's outspoken and cares so much, has a passion for things about science, kids, education, all things Canada, of course.
Being Governor General is largely symbolic, and so is Payette's appointment. She represents 2 priorities for the Trudeau government: gender equality and science. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
And it might have been the new Governor General's moment earlier today in Ottawa, but the flailing inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls also came up. When asked about it, the Prime Minister struck an understanding tone, but did not indicate whether he would personally intervene.
The inquiry needs to provide justice for the victims, healing for the families, and put an end to this ongoing tragedy. It was always and will always be and would always be a very difficult process.
There have been growing calls for a restart on the entire process for some time, which have only grown since Commissioner Marilyn Poitras quit earlier this week. That wasn't the only thing Justin Trudeau was asked about today. He also addressed his government's decision to pay millions of dollars to Omer Khadr. There's an effort to freeze that money. But today, that request was rejected in an Ontario courtroom. Here's Ron Charles.
The emergency motion to freeze Omar Khadr's $10.5 million settlement was a long shot from the outset. The widow of the U.S. Army medic killed in an Afghanistan firefight involving Khadr did win a $135 million wrongful death lawsuit against Khadr in a Utah court, but it will be months, possibly years, before courts in Canada rule on whether that award can be enforced on this side of the border. And Canadian law sets a very high bar for seizing the assets of citizens long before a court case has even begun, something Khadr's lawyers relied on today.
In order to get this type of remedy, there has to be very strong evidence that the party is actually trying to hide their assets or dissipate them or secret them away out of the country, and there just simply wasn't any evidence in this case.
Lawyers for Tabitha Speer, widow of Special Forces medic Christopher Speer, say they have not yet decided whether to appeal.
That's something that I'm going to have to consider with my client. Obviously, we'll look at the reasons and we'll consider it very carefully.
Today's motion highlights the lightning rod Khadr's settlement has become. The opposition Conservatives continue to question the government's decision to give Khadr the money.
This decision was wrong. It was a political decision made by the Prime Minister. It was not made by a court of law, and I think many people take umbrage with that.
The Prime Minister tried to explain today why the government settled Khadr's lawsuit.
If we had continued to fight this, not only would we have inevitably lost, but estimates range from $30 to $40 million that it would have ended up costing the government. So this was the responsible path to take.
In dismissing today's motion, Ontario Superior Court Justice Edward Bolobaba seemed to acknowledge the controversy surrounding the settlement with Khadr, but he said the law must apply equally to everyone in Canada, not one law for Omar Khadr and another for all other Canadians. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada's spy agency has been hit with a $35 million lawsuit launched by 5 of its own employees. The suit claims the Canadian Security Intelligence Service is rampant with racist, homophobic, and Islamophobic attitudes. CSIS has responded with a statement saying it takes these allegations very seriously, but could not comment further as the matter is now before the court. Later in the show, a year after the coup, the mystery still unsolved, the country still in crisis mode, Turkey on edge. And as fires rage in BC and beyond, the National delves into the science of them.
With climate change, we expect longer fire seasons, and we're already seeing that.
Forest flashpoints coming up. Firefighters battling the current wildfires in BC caught a break today. Forecast lightning storms didn't materialize, and only a dozen new fires started. In all, there are 188 wildfires burning in the province. Of that, 22 are considered fires of note, threatening communities such as Williams Lake. Thousands of residents there remain under an evacuation alert. The flames roared through the Ashcroft Indian Band a week ago. And today, residents got their first look at the destruction. The CBC's Greg Rasmussen was there when they returned home.
So much for a ride on.
He may have lost some of his valuable equipment.
That's a wood splitter. That's a generator.
But Gary Clausen feels he won the fight of his life. Last week, he faced a wall of flame that raced through the grass and sagebrush towards his home.
And what was going through your head as you saw this coming towards your place?
Save my house. Save my house, save my animals.
Well, after a 4.5-hour battle, his house survived. His neighbors weren't so lucky.
Pretty devastating for them. A lot of people didn't have a lot. You know, they had their homes, they lost everything. Just lost everything. We'll get through it.
12 homes were lost out of 32. For the small First Nation already facing a housing shortage, this is a terrible blow.
Everybody's shell-shocked. I think it's slowly settling in. You know, we were able to do a lot of short-term things and sort of make them comfortable that way.
The First Nations insurance will cover the buildings, but most people here couldn't afford coverage for their contents. Clothes, furniture, bedding, and other belongings now destroyed. While other places have received aid, even the Red Cross has yet to arrive in this community.
I think the bigger centers get the attention, and that's because they have more people there. But sometimes these little communities need the attention too.
The reserve's graveyard suffered serious damage. Even as the hills above still smolder, crews work to restore power and water.
Pretty disastrous. My auntie May lost her house, my sister Violet.
During the fire, Daryl Kilpatrick worked to protect the homes here, but couldn't save them all.
Ready to work? Yep. Anything to help the community, hey, try to come together and unite again, get everybody so they feel happy.
This is one of the first communities to be hit hard by these fires. Now it's one of the first to bounce back. People are returning, services are being restored, but they still face a long, tough road ahead. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, on the Ashcroft Indian Reserve.
Fast-moving wildfires are also raging across a huge swath of southern Italy. Dozens of fires are burning near Naples and on the island of Sicily. One large fire prompted the evacuation of a popular seaside resort. Hundreds of tourists were forced to leave. Some didn't even have time to change out of their bathing suits. The Italian Coast Guard has released dramatic video of an overcrowded migrant boat in the Mediterranean. Several children were in the water and had to be pulled to safety. Over the last 24 hours, more than 4,000 migrants have been rescued at sea. U.S. President Donald Trump has put a few thousand kilometers between himself and the storm surrounding his administration, or tried to, at least. He's in Paris for meetings with his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. The two leaders may be on opposite poles when it comes to climate change, but today they found at least one piece of political real estate in common. Chris O'Neill Yates explains.
In the city he once called dangerous and out of control, President Donald Trump received a warm greeting from his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, and lavished praise on Paris.
I think this is one of the great cities, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
The relationship between Trump and Macron got off to a bad start over climate change. In June, Trump pulled out of the Paris Accords.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
The French were upset, and Macron shot back.
We all share the same responsibility. Make our planet great again.
Today there was none of that past vitriol, just an agreement to disagree on this divisive issue.
Well, regarding climate, we have a number of disagreements.
For his part, Trump even hinted that his position may thaw.
With respect to the Paris Accord, we'll see what happens. But we will talk about that over the coming period of time.
But on terrorism, not even a hint of disagreement.
When it comes to fighting terrorism, from day one, I can say that we've seen eye to eye, and we are strongly determined to take any necessary measures in order to root out terrorism.
We also renew our resolve to stand united against these enemies of humanity and to strip them of their territory, their funding, their networks, and ideological support.
But the latest issue that's dogged Trump at home followed him to Paris.
I have a son who's a great young man. He's a fine person.
The president defended Donald Trump Jr. today over that meeting with a Russian lawyer who promised to provide dirt on the Hillary Clinton campaign.
That's very standard in politics. Politics is not the nicest business in the world.
Critics at home aren't buying that explanation.
The Russian government is attempting to aid your father's campaign. That's completely unacceptable, it's not normal, and it's unpatriotic also.
Today, the Senate Judiciary Committee asked Donald Trump Jr. to testify about the meeting with the Russian lawyer as early as next week, which means the president will return home to a political storm that is rapidly intensifying. Chris O'Neill Yates, CBC News, Washington.
And tomorrow, our Prime Minister will be south of the border making his case for NAFTA. Justin Trudeau will meet with dozens of state governors to talk trade, specifically how important Canada is to their continued prosperity, all in hopes that the message will get upstairs to the White House. Tom Perry has more.
With dark clouds brewing on trade, Canada is looking for friends in places like this, Rhode Island's state capital in Providence. State governors from across the U.S. are gathered in this city for a big summer get-together to Tomorrow, Justin Trudeau will be here touting the benefits of free and open markets.
It is very smart of the Prime Minister to want to be here.
The Democratic governor hosting this meeting says Trudeau is targeting the right audience.
Not enough is getting done in Washington, hasn't been for a long time. We, the governors of the 50 states, we are making things happen.
Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to tear up NAFTA if the deal can't be renegotiated to his satisfaction.
That's called negotiating. That's how business people do business.
Republican governors who support Trump say the president just wants a deal that's fair.
Nobody's looking to get a leg up on anybody else. We shouldn't be getting one over on Canada. Canada shouldn't be getting one over on us. Sit down and have this conversation. I think we'll come out with something that's better for everybody.
Trudeau isn't taking any chances. With talks on NAFTA set to begin soon, he wants to remind governors of all the money and jobs riding on cross-border trade. Ontario's premier is also here to help back up those arguments.
I think we're at a critical moment, and I think made even more critical by the fact that the mandate for the NAFTA negotiation is going to come out in the next week or so.
The fate of NAFTA may ultimately lie in the hands of the U.S. president, but by pointing out the benefits of the deal and the potential costs of scrapping it, Canada hopes to turn governors into powerful allies.
This is another building block in terms of communicating effectively the value of the Canada-United States relationship, not as a one-way street, but as a two-way street, so that there's value to each country.
U.S. Vice President Mike Pence will be here tomorrow and will meet with Justin Trudeau. The Prime Minister's office insists by meeting with governors, the Prime Minister is not trying to go around President Donald Trump. He's merely taking every opportunity to make his case. Freer trade benefits both countries. Tom Perry, CBC News, Providence, Rhode Island.
2 Ontario police officers have been charged in connection with the death of Deborah Chris John, a woman from a First Nations community. Ontario Provincial Police Constable Mark McKillop and London Police Constable Nicholas Doring are charged with criminal negligence causing death and failing to provide the necessaries of life. Chris John died in September 2016. Both officers remain on active duty. When we return, in the West, his words were celebrated. In China, his words were crimes, the life and death of a dissident.
Margaret Atwood's farm is located in southwestern Ontario. She doesn't want people to know exactly where because she doesn't like visitors, especially not the uninvited variety. Carloads of drunken fans have descended upon the farm in the past, and the memories of them on her doorstep is not something she cherishes. Margaret Atwood has always had an image problem. Many people have thought her tough, humorless, too strident in her feminist beliefs, too much the ideologue in her politics. But that image is changing as Margaret Atwood herself changes. 3 years ago, she had a baby girl, Eleanor Jess, and starting then, Margaret Atwood says, the public image of her as Dragon Lady began to change.
Something really, a horrible cliche took place. I wouldn't have believed it. As soon as I had a baby, everybody started writing about me in much modified terms as a sort of motherly person. So believe it or not, there you are. I don't think I had really, quotes, changed all that much. In other words, I don't think I was as tough as everybody thought before I had the baby, and I don't think I was as soft and sort of bouncy as everybody thought afterwards.
When you write, do you set yourself a schedule? Do you follow a set schedule?
Before I had a child, I used to write all day, maybe 10 hours. I would get up at about 10 and stay up till 3 in the morning and worry until about 6 p.m. and then start writing. But now I have to limit the amount of time I spend on anxiety because otherwise I would use up 5 hours on that, and I only have 5 hours a day. I work from about 1 o'clock until about 6.
Do you revise a lot? You go through many versions of your work?
I write in longhand, which is indecipherable to anybody else, and sometimes even to me. Then I transcribe that onto a typewriter, and some changes happen then. Then I revise the typescript, and some other changes happen then. And then there may be yet another stage of pulling it all together and correcting things that were wrong.
Do you have a feeling before the book actually comes out and is made available to the public, do you have a gut feeling about how it is going to be received, whether it's Lady Oracle or Life Before Man?
Yes, I do, and sometimes I'm wrong.
No enemies, no hatred. Liu Xiaobo lived by those words, but his calls for democracy and a reckoning with China's dark past made him an enemy of the state. A literary critic who stood with demonstrators in Tiananmen Square, toiled in a labor camp, was imprisoned again for subversion, and today his final battle with liver cancer was lost under the watchful eyes of Chinese authorities. Ioanna Remuliotis has his story.
It will no doubt define his legacy. How Liu Xiaobo remained a voice of protest even when silenced, for decades as China's most famous political prisoner, and now in death. The turning point from literary critic to political dissident began in Tiananmen Square. Liu joined students in the 1989 pro-democracy movement, and as tanks rolled in, helped negotiate safe passage for protesters. A gentle yet unyielding resolve to defy and question China's authoritarian rule would lead to a life of house arrest and imprisonment. His most recent arrest in 2008 sparked protest. Liu had promoted a bold manifesto calling for democracy and free elections. A CBC crew in Beijing inadvertently met him that year when police escorted him to a meeting with a defense lawyer. He told the CBC then that China was still far from a law-based state. Branded as subversive by the Chinese government, Liu was lauded a human rights defender around the world and received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2010 while in prison. He was represented at the ceremony by an empty chair. Leading congressional Democrat Nancy Pelosi was at the event.
The world grieves the loss of one of the great moral voices of our time. We had hoped that the Chinese, they mistreated him in prison, contributed to his illness. We would hope that they would allow him to leave the country to receive medical care. They did not. It's a sad day.
The Chinese government only revealed Liu had advanced liver cancer in May. Police kept his wife under house arrest, preventing her from speaking out about his belated treatment. But her brief, despairing video message to a friend quickly spread online.
Because we have the impression that you really do your very best to help the patient.
The doctors at the hospital where Liu spent his last days emerged today to insist he had received the best care possible and that he died peacefully. However his death is framed, his supporters say his reformist ideals never altered.
Liu Xiaobo was the definition of civic courage and human dignity. Liu Xiaobo was and will continue to be an inspiration for human rights defenders around the world.
Perhaps now, more than ever. Ioanna Remuliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
He's 92 and still building homes. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter is in Winnipeg to celebrate Canada 150 with Habitat for Humanity. But due to a hot July day, Carter has ended up in hospital. Cameron McIntosh reports.
At 92, he's still hands-on. Jimmy Carter, the 39th American president, lending his handiwork and his name to a Habitat for Humanity project in Winnipeg.
Building Habitat homes, I think, is the best opportunity that we have as Canadians or Americans to put into practice whatever our moral and ethical value standards might be. Best wishes to you.
Carter did look a little gaunt there. About an hour later, while working on one of those homes, out of sight of the cameras and the media, he collapsed but remained conscious. Later, taken away by an ambulance.
President Carter was dehydrated, working in the hot sun. President Carter told us he's okay and is being taken off-site for observation. He encourages everyone to stay hydrated and to keep building.
He was whisked to Winnipeg St. Boniface Hospital, where his motorcade stayed parked outside of the ER for several hours. By early evening, his wife Rosalind was seen leaving the hospital without the former president. Carter has worked with Habitat for Humanity for decades and spent this week promoting a project to build 150 homes to mark Canada's 150th anniversary. Today it appears a combination of work, travel, and a deceptively hot July day simply caught up with him. His involvement here was very much appreciated by those now wishing him well, including Todd Gauthier. It was his future home that Carter was working on.
I got very fortunate to have him be able to work on my house with his wife, so that's pretty cool.
As for the former president's prognosis, what comes next, that's not clear. Hospital officials are saying they won't be offering any more updates on his condition tonight. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A judge made the situation around Sears Canada a little clearer today. The company, which is under creditor protection, is being allowed to seek out potential buyers. And the company has also agreed to keep paying benefits until the end of September, including pensions. Dozens of former Sears employees were at the courthouse today. The federal government is putting the brakes on its project to unite 1,500 departmental websites under the umbrella of Canada.ca. It will instead be focusing on redistributing the $11.8 million set aside for the project to its 4 largest departments used by the largest number of Canadians: Health, Environment, the Canada Revenue Agency, and Immigration. Loblaw is recalling its President's Choice brand chicken nuggets over salmonella concerns. You can see the best before date and UPC code of the affected batch on your screens. The CFIA says there are reported illnesses. Apps that offer virtual medical services are challenging Canada's universal healthcare system. That's what some critics say, offering a private model that could undermine the public structure. But that's not the only concern some have with these apps. Vicadopia reports.
When Sarah or one of her kids gets sick, she can't afford to lose any time.
Skip the walk-in wait room, click on your computer instead, and within minutes you can be communicating with a doctor somewhere in Canada. That's the promise of half a dozen new virtual clinics.
We are exploding. We have about 27 medical providers, and we're scaling up all the time because of demand.
In most cases, the doctors are Canadian and work in the public system, but do paid virtual visits on the side via audio, video, or instant messaging. And since one-off online consultations usually are not covered by the provinces, private companies see a business opportunity.
It's an Uber model. So what happens is the doctors are billing the patient, but we are the facilitator. So we do all of the payment processing. And for that, we charge a small fee to the doctor for providing them the platform to see the patient.
Some employee insurance plans do cover private options like this. Either way, some see the idea of paying for basic health care as problematic.
We have to understand that this is a breach in the universality principle of the healthcare system, because in most of these applications, you have to pay to have access to the service.
Virtual doctors are popular in the US, and in January, the public system in Britain signed on. But unless that happens in Canada, critics say dealing with doctors in both the private and public systems leaves patient records incomplete and could hurt their ongoing care.
Just because you can access something quickly and get a prescription faster and get care faster, it's not necessarily a good thing. We need to make sure that it actually does benefit the patient and make sense within the system.
British Columbia's health plan has already agreed to reimburse doctors for virtual visits, but only for people who are their existing patients. Providers of these services say it's only a matter of time before other provinces do the same. Vicadopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up on the National, Turkey marks a grim anniversary. A year later, Turks are caught between a failed coup and a never-ending crackdown. Plus, more smoke, more fires, a trend that's global and growing. The science behind forest fires, next on the National. Let's check the day's business numbers. The TSX dipped slightly and the dollar edged up 0.3 cents. In New York, the Dow hit a record high once again, up more than 20 points. The price of oil increased 59 cents a barrel.
Today's events were part of a program which has been going on since Wednesday evening. Gays and non-gays mingled at the fair, some coming from as far away as Holland and California.
Well, there are a few 100,000 gay people in the city of Toronto, and we felt that the organized gay community
wanted to have a celebration of our culture, our community, and this is it. This is Gay Days.
They say together they can work toward acceptance by general society.
Though they marched through the streets today as they have before, the tone was less serious. There were no nightsticks, no confrontations. In the park, the atmosphere was festival.
Gay pride is an expression we use to say that we're proud of our sexuality, that we're not ashamed to say that our lifestyle is worth living.
More than 1,000 of the city's estimated 250,000 gays and lesbians celebrated with a sense of humor. They even found a way to laugh at AIDS.
This is supposed to be a public celebration. It's ironic that at this event, some entertainers and some participants in the rally asked us not to take their picture.
Gays and lesbians marching here fear reprisals for their lifestyle.
A sweltering summer Sunday in the city. A day to meet friends. Lots of friends, as it turned out. It may have been the biggest block party of the season. The parade, too, was a hit, an indication of the self-confidence and self-assurance that lesbians and gays have acquired here in only a few years.
It looked like a big outdoor party as marchers at Toronto's Gay Pride Parade moved through city streets to their own beat.
We want to be strong because we're such a minority and we're not treated real well.
This year, participants had something else to celebrate, the legal right to marry. Hundreds of thousands lined the streets. San Diego native Richard Reed and his partner Ernie Lacasse have been to Pride parades before. This is their first as a married couple. For them, and for their fellow June brides and grooms, this year's parade is indeed a happy one.
They're circular, and the inside of the rim is scorched a little all around, and these circles are approximately 34 to 35 feet wide.
It was a disc shape, and it had a dome in the middle. Oh, it was a beautiful ship. It was a creamy white color.
It's as if a giant cookie cutter has stamped out circles. They range from 2 to 20 meters in diameter and come in a variety of patterns. Some swirl clockwise, others fan out from the center. Around the crisp perimeter, the fields are intact.
The plants are going through some form of molecular change, causing them to grow into huge dartboard patterns.
It's beyond anything we can suggest, and beyond any conventional science, the way this has been constructed.
Visitors are coming from miles around to see the latest attraction near Conquest, Saskatchewan. It's the most excitement people in this area have seen in a while. One of the circles looks like a donut. Another has a tail pointing to the south. And on a nearby field owned by a Hutterite colony, there are 6 circles. In all of them, the stalks of wheat are flattened but not damaged.
I'm not a great believer in UFOs, but once you see them right up close, they're different.
It was the last thing John Petty expected to see. He was out baling hay when something caught his eye.
I thought it was very strange. I got off the tractor and came in and looked around, and I couldn't believe my eyes.
Not really much gets going on here in Howick, so this is something new.
Everything I worked for the last 2 years, it's all gone in smoke now.
We don't have what we have on our backs.
From Fort McMurray last year to the Slave Lake Fire in 2011 and the Okanagan Fire in 2003. If your impression is that there are more wildfires than usual and more damaging wildfires than usual, you're not wrong. But why? What's causing this trend? Wendy Mesley explores the science behind the fires.
In Portugal, unprecedented forest fires last month raged for days, killing more than 60 people. In California, over 8,000 people were forced from their homes in recent weeks.
It was coming down. It was wild. It was, we had to get the hell out of here. Holy fuck, feel how hot that is?
It's gonna burn down. And now in BC, green mountainside charred.
police came back and they said, aren't you guys going? You gotta go now.
Devastation and displacement.
It took our village away.
What we seem to be seeing is even more severe fire seasons more frequently, and perhaps more severe or more intense than we've seen in the past.
Wildfire scientist Mike Flanagan says the severity of fire seasons globally can be linked to climate change. But to grasp that link, he says we first need to understand how these fires start. It takes 3 ingredients.
The first ingredient is the fuel, the stuff that burns, the trees, the shrubs, the grass. Second, you need an ignition agent, and people and lightning are the 2 common ignition agents. Third is hot, dry, windy weather.
Generally, we talk about a 30-30-30 rule when we talk about explosive fire conditions, and that means temperatures above 30 degrees, humidity less than 30%, and winds greater than 30 kilometers per hour.
Johanna Wagstaff joins us one more time.
CBC meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff has been following wildfire seasons in Canada for years.
Fires are definitely getting more intense, and they're becoming more frequent and just larger in size. Tonight, residents are being told to prepare for the worst.
Hundreds of fires burned through the Northwest Territories in 2014.
This is about the people of Saskatchewan, and that's why we're here.
In 2015, wildfires got so bad in Saskatchewan, the Army was called in. And in Alberta.
So we lost everything now.
The 2016 Fort McMurray fires were the most destructive in Canadian history.
The people here are devastated. Everyone's devastated. The community is going to be devastated.
Wagstaff says all of these cases, including BC, can be connected to a warming climate.
Most of the major fire events we've seen, Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Fort McMurray, even in places like Portugal, it's often preceded by a big heat wave, and normally the jet stream sort of helps carry weather patterns along so they don't stay in place for more than a couple of days. But a warming climate is actually leading to these jet streams getting locked in place for days or weeks on end, and that's often the case for big fire situations, hot and dry for weeks on end.
Another factor fueling recent wildfire seasons may be winters that are wetter than usual, something that might sound counterintuitive, but
that can lead to a lot of growth of fuels to burn. So this year we saw a lot of tall grass growing, and that has now all dried out in the past 2 heat waves, and that's all extra fuel to burn. And these sort of shifts and extremes when it comes to weather patterns will become more frequent with climate change.
With climate change, we expect longer fire seasons.
Mike Flanagan says climate change helps explain why Alberta had to start its fire season early, in March instead of April. And as the climate warms,
we're seeing more lightning activity, and the more lightning activity, the more fires you get. And most of our climate models for the future suggest we'll get warming, but not much increase in precipitation. So the fuels will be drier, so it's easier for fires to start and spread.
So what can Canadians expect going forward?
We have to keep in mind is that fire is a natural part of our Canadian forests. People live, work, play in the forest, and you get this intersection between fire and people with disastrous results at times.
We are going to see longer fire seasons, larger fires, more intense fires, but in all of the modeling, when we look at climate change in the future, there are different scenarios. So even though our next sort of 3 decades are locked in based on the emissions that we've already put into the atmosphere, beyond 2050, we can make a lot of changes. And I think in combination with how we manage fires, that can have a big impact on how bad our seasons are in the future.
When we come back, a look at a country frozen in crisis, Turkey, 1 year after the coup.
It has been a wet and deadly 36 hours in northeastern Quebec.
All day, local radio has been warning people in dozens of specific areas to leave their homes. And if they can't drive out, signal helicopters flying overhead so they can be flown out.
At least 7 people are dead, several more are missing, and thousands more have been forced to flee.
A minister in the Quebec government described the situation in this region as apocalyptic, catastrophic. For more than a day, torrents of water have crashed through villages, towns, and cities, taking houses, in some cases entire buildings with it.
Like clockwork, every 5 minutes a helicopter lands, bringing refugees from the flood. These people are from Grand Bay.
It was terrible, like hell.
This is what they're escaping. Hundreds of homes drowning in mud, hanging by a thread, or giving in to the relentless river. No one knows how many bridges and roads have collapsed, and the landmarks wiped out. This old pulp mill reopened as a museum just 2 weeks ago. Now it's a $6 million write-off.
This disaster is unprecedented in Canada, and so is the Relief Fund, the largest ever collected by the Red Cross. The money has come from people all over the country, and this region knows it.
C'est des choses de même que tout le monde nous aide, puis tu sais, faut voir ça, croire ça là.
Same with the destruction. The cars buried under mud, the homes swept out into the river, whole neighborhoods gone. That one house with the now famous foundation that alone resisted. Things people here will never forget, their disaster and the charity of others.
Good evening. It's official now. The F-18A has won the fighter plane contract.
The winning McDonnell Douglas 18A will cost $15 million a copy and is almost certain to be a highly controversial buy.
General Dynamics, makers of the F-16 and the losing company in this competition, has issued a statement saying the benefits it offered were higher than the government gave it credit for, and that the price of the plane the government has bought will go up because of continued problems with it.
For all of its weaponry, the toughest battle the F-18 Hornet may ever have to face is the barrage of poor publicity it's now attracting. Its costs have been climbing, and some media reports have described the Hornet as a lemon. Earlier this year, the U.S. General Accounting Office blasted the plane. It was nearly a ton overweight, its undercarriage was faulty, it had problems of drag, reduced engine thrust, range, and its acceleration was below specifications.
Canada now has nearly 40 of them and expects to buy 100 more. Each of them costs $30 to $40 million. Today it was revealed that the CF-18 and its American cousins in the United States Navy have the same problem. Cracks have started to appear in the tail section when the fighter does the combat maneuvers it was designed to do.
It's a relatively minor problem. It's one that is readily identifiable. The cause is known.
This latest fault is sure to add to the criticisms of those people who felt that Canada should have bought many more of a competing aircraft, a fighter that came with a much lower price tag.
This weekend, Turkey will mark a full year since a failed coup rocked the country and shocked the world. 1 year later, how the coup happened, exactly who was behind it, remains unclear. Turkey is a place of suspicion and suppression, crackdowns, and conspiracy theories. Neil Kuksel takes us there.
The people buried here were ready to be martyrs, but that doesn't lessen their families' pain. They are a few of the more than 240 people killed when they stormed the streets last July 15th. I knew my husband was killed, Vahide Şefkatlıoğlu says. She survived, but barely, after a tank plowed over them both. Her left leg is gone. My loss is big, she says, but we live with honor and because God allowed this for us. It was a sight few in Istanbul and the capital Ankara could make sense of last July. Why were soldiers and tanks suddenly rolling through the streets? They'd soon learn a small faction of the Turkish army was trying to take hold of key locations, like Istanbul's Bosphorus Bridge and its airport. They stormed the state television building.
Tüm yurtta sıkı yönetim ilan edilmiştir.
Forcing their anchor to read their words. Under siege, it was this moment that pushed many Turks into the streets that night.
Milletimizi illerimizin meydanlarına davet ediyorum. Havalimanlarına davet ediyorum.
President Erdogan called on his people to fight back. It was a mixture of duty and destiny for Vasfi Yilmaz. He survived this.
Yapacak bir şey yok. Onun durması gerekiyor. Benim çekilmem.
I wasn't going to leave. It was, Vasfi Yilmaz says. This place is ours. They protected their country. But now others are fighting for their own freedom.
Biz eşimiz ve ekmeğimiz ve onurumuz için.
We're fighting for our jobs, our livelihoods, our honor, Esra Özkan Özakça says. Like the people who were in the streets that night, she's happy the coup failed, but terrified of what she believes is a different kind of coup now at the hands of the government. 5 days after the attack was foiled, Ankara invoked a state of emergency. The government can do what it wants, when it wants, unchecked and unchallenged.
Evet, o grup gerçekten böyle bir şeye girişmiş olabilir.
Maybe that group really did do something, she says. But there's a second scenario in her mind, that maybe the government needed a crisis like this and knew it was coming.
Sahte darbedir demek de çok doğru değil ama gerçek bir darbe demek de.
It's not right to say it was a fake coup, she says, but it's not right to say it was real either. We still don't know what really happened that night. More than 150,000 people have lost their jobs, been detained or arrested in the last year, nearly 200 this week alone. It is house cleaning, in the Erdogan government's eyes, the only way to prevent another attack on the state, it believes. A democratically elected leader in action, supporters insist. Turkey's president is after this man and anyone who supports him. Erdogan believes Fethullah Gülen was the one trying to take over the country. Gülen is an Islamic scholar with a vast network of deeply devoted followers. He's long held sway in Turkey's most powerful political circles and once was very close to the Erdogan government in particular. He's lived in self-exile in Pennsylvania since 1999. A polarized Turkey rarely agrees on much, but most agree Gülen is a threat to their country. But to Erdogan, even those with no links to Gülen are a risk. Özkan Özakça, her husband Semih, and Nuriye Gülmen, all teachers, are just a few examples of what the purge looks like. Gülmen and Semih Özakça were jailed in May. They're more than 4 months into a hunger strike. As with most of the people rounded up this year, they are accused of supporting terror. They say they're just voices of opposition who want their jobs back. To even be in their presence means you're being watched. We've been stopped already 3 times, twice by plainclothes police officers, once by one of the dozens of riot police officers who asked us why we were here and to show our press credentials. And their goal here is to stop any supporters of the teachers who are on their hunger strike and in jail right now. And sure enough, when they do gather on this day, our video producer was also dragged away by officers demanding to know what he was doing.
Ya ne yapıyorsun? Sabahtan beri şurada bekliyorsun ya. Sabahtan beri orada bekliyorsun. Sen bizi geri zekalı mı zannediyorsun?
Soon after our interview, Özkan Özakça was pulled into custody too. She was released, but is now under house arrest. She's continuing her own hunger strike.
%90 doğru.
90% of what's being done by the government is right, İlhami Çil insists. Çil also stormed the streets on July 15th. He has the festering wound to prove it. He's now part of a group dedicated to helping those who risked their lives that night.
Tam tersi olsaydı biz bunları konuşamıyor bile olacaktık.
If the coup had succeeded, he says, we wouldn't be here. Our country wouldn't be here.
Peki ikisi de olmasaydı diyorum yani.
What if neither had happened, Özakça says? Neither the coup nor the government crackdown that followed. These are the questions so many Turks are consumed by. A time when the definition of democracy depends on who you ask. Nil Köksal, CBC News, İstanbul.
Right after the break, the race to solve the mystery of dead right whales and save a species on the brink.
I'm Mike Finnerty. Tomorrow on the summer edition of The Current, in The Handover, Elaine Dewar argues that the best part of our literary heritage was transferred by bureaucrats to foreign control. That's on the summer edition of The Current, weekdays at 8:30 on CBC Radio 1.
This is the National News Bulletin, a summary of the day's news.
Even bad news sounded good in those exciting, terrible days when radio news came of age, especially when read by our own voice of doom, Lorne Greene, when Haas was a colt.
Naval battle in the South Pacific.
Madam, will you please put away that knitting? You're going to have to applaud, you know. Now, let's all relax. Everybody, shall we? Nobody be nervous.
And to balance the glum news from overseas, CBC Radio offered happy-go-lucky fare.
Who's there? It's the Happy Gang. Well, come on in.
It all began in 1901. The discoverer of wireless, Marconi, received his first transatlantic radio message from Signal Hill in Newfoundland.
Hi!
And CBC Radio has been seeing to it that Canada gets the message ever since. In an array of programs from music talk shows like this, ranging through schools and youth, agriculture, religion, serious music, and variety. A busy place, the CBC, and a big country to serve. How do you suppose all these programs get to all the people spread all over the map? Well, if you think of the network as a superhighway, then you can picture national program clearance as the traffic cop who keeps things flowing smoothly. National program clearance arranges distribution of our radio and TV programs by landlines and by coast-to-coast microwave network. Just to complicate matters, there are several problems arising out of the different time zones into which the country is divided, not to mention line availability. Ah, yes, line availability. I said not to mention that. Oh, sorry.
A CBC color presentation.
Let's follow an average broadcasting day from the beginning. It's very simple. There's the business of booking studios, getting the slides to telecine, last-minute news inserts, coffee to be ordered, public affairs specials, graphics to be ordered and approved, clear screen projection to be set up, stage hands to be scheduled, coffee to be brought, beats to be lined up, pianos to tune, light bulbs to be replaced, monitors to be serviced, press releases to be issued, coffee to be tasted, props to be picked up, cameras to be fired, shot lists to be typed, rehearsals to be scheduled, contracts to be drawn up, cold coffee to be dumped, memos to be filed. Hold it, cut.
Cut. The only way this will cut is go back to the beginning.
Summer is golden on CBC Sports. In the water, champions emerge. This summer is golden. The World Aquatics Championships, starting July 15th on CBC Sports.
Do you need a little life in your life? Looking for the best in home, decor, food, health, and style? Check us out at cbc.ca/life.
Whether it's relationship advice, DIYs, or fantastic recipes.
It's all there.
And recipes.
Yeah, we mentioned it.
Good.
There have been some grim discoveries made in the Gulf of St. Lawrence in recent weeks. 7 North Atlantic right whales have been found dead. Now researchers are calling for more action to help protect the endangered species. Carolyn Ray has more on that.
They're massive, majestic creatures, and there's only about 525 of them left in the Atlantic Ocean. But after the last few weeks, 7 of them were found dead in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. For For those trying to save the whales, it's a tragic and mostly preventable loss. Necropsies have been taking place in PEI and the Magdalene Islands.
The most we can really say is that there was some suggestion of blunt trauma, meaning that there were injuries consistent with being struck by something large.
The preliminary results show 3 were killed when they were hit by ships. Another was entangled in fishing gear. Experts are still waiting for tests to show what happened to the others. Up until now, it was believed the right whales spent summers in the Bay of Fundy, where they've been protected by conservation efforts, including a change in shipping routes. But this year, the whales have gone further north to the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
You know, we could be looking at extinction for these animals in the span of a human lifetime, for sure.
Sean Brilliant tracks the route of the right whales and researches the impact of fishing activity.
Somewhere between 75% and 85% of the entire population has rope scars on their body. So they've been entangled at some time in their life.
This week, Joe Howlett, one of the most respected whale rescuers in the country, was killed after he cut a right whale free from fishing gear. His death led to both the Canadian Fisheries Minister and the American organization NOAA to call for a halt in these entanglement rescues until an investigation is complete. But researchers say there are changes that can be made now.
I mean, there are things that people can do voluntarily. I mean, you know, ships can slow down if they want. Fishermen can keep an eye open when they set their gear, or, you know, not set it if they see whales. You know, that stuff are still personal choices by, hopefully, you know, the individuals or the companies themselves.
In response to the whale deaths, Fisheries Minister Dominic LeBlanc ordered some snow crab fishermen in the Gulf to pull their gear early. And he says he's open to changing shipping lines in the future if it will prevent more deaths. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
A blue whale is at the heart of this next story. The world's largest mammal is the new centerpiece at London's Natural History Museum. This is time-lapse video of the skeleton being pieced together. The whale has taken the place of a replica dinosaur as part of a shift in the museum's philosophy. The aim is to get visitors to learn more about living animals, not just extinct ones. A couple of days ago, we told you about an 80-person human chain that saved a family caught in a Florida riptide. Well, there was no herd of elephants to rescue this animal when he was dragged out to sea by strong currents. But there was the Sri Lankan Navy. Divers tied a rope around the elephant and the vessel dragged him back to shore. Wildlife officials say he was fine.
Sure enough, we can hear a little voice coming from the machine, so we're all thinking this is a joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. A man was trapped inside the ATM. The contractor had gone into the room behind the machine to fix a problem with the door when he got locked in.
He's slipping notes through the ATM, through the receipt, where you would get your receipt.
The note asked passers-by to call his boss. Police arrived, kicked in the door, and released him, no worse for wear. Sotheby's is holding an out-of-this-world sale. Next week, a space-themed auction. If your bank balance runs to enough digits, you could take home a NASA spacesuit or a copy of the flight plan for Apollo 13, the famous Houston, we have a problem moonshot. But the pièce de résistance is this unassuming bag used by Neil Armstrong to bring the first moon rocks back to Earth. Finally, to say that former astronaut Julie Payette is a popular choice for Governor General is an understatement at this point. Her appointment is receiving great praise on the Hill and around the country, including from the scientists and astronauts of tomorrow. I met some of them today at a summer camp specializing in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in Toronto. So what do you think about Julie Payette becoming the next Governor General of Canada?
That sounds the most coolest thing in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
I think it's great because there's a lot of women, but she's the first, and then a lot of women might want to follow her.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool because she went to space and she's an astronaut.
Would you like to do that one day? Yeah?
Yeah.
You would?
It's really amazing that she went on not only one, but 2 space missions and completed 25 days in space. And she was also an engineer, and now she's going to be the government general representing Canada and England, or no, England and Canada.
I think that she's going to be a really good governor general because, I don't know, it's just, she had the experience of going to space, and I think she can do a lot of things with that.
So what do you think about Julie Payette having gone to the International Space Station? Did you know she helped build it?
No.
She helped build it. What do you think of that?
That's awesome.
Do you want to go to space or be an engineer?
Yeah.
You do? Both?
Yeah. I think this is probably her first time being like a politician. So just be like calm, I guess.
Do you have advice for her?
No.
No. You think she's probably got it figured out?
Yeah.
Well, great kids. That's the National for this Thursday night. For news at any hour, you can always go to our website, cbcnews.ca. I'm Andrew Nichols. Thanks for watching.